When it comes to most feared hitmen, names like Giovanni the People Slayer Brusca and Richard the Iceman Kuklinski always pop up. But in today's video, we're taking you back in time to the 1920s to tell you about Al Capone's favorite and most lethal hitman, Jack Mcgurn, aka Machine Gun Jack. By all accounts, Jack Mcgurn was regarded as one of Al Capone's most dangerous and feared hitmen, and with good reason. He was involved in many mob-related killings in Chicago between the 1920s and 30s, and it's assumed that he played an active part in these killings. He was so widely known that whenever there was a killing, the police would name him a suspect, even when they had no evidence of his involvement. He was a cold-blooded, fearless, and brutal killer. But he was a very loyal man. He had the ability to command violence with ease, and he mastered the use of guns. It was his proficiency with guns that earned him the nickname Machine Gun Jack. Mcgurn was known to carry out hits efficiently and at the same time evade police. He was involved in brutal gangland killings in Chicago. He was never scared of anyone, no matter their rank. He was always willing to take risky jobs. As long as Al Capone ordered him to do it, he would do it. Jack's loyalty to Al Capone was unmatched. This trait put him a step above Al Capone's other hitmen. No matter what happened, Mcgurn always put his loyalty to Al Capone first. It's said that a rival gang leader offered Mcgurn a significant amount of money for him to turn on Al Capone, but he turned it down. This singular act of loyalty stood out because in the world of drugs and cartels, it's common knowledge that nearly everyone has a price. Mcgurn, however, proved himself to be the exception. In addition to being fiercely loyal, Machine Gun Jack was extremely protective of his boss. So much so that he would kill anyone who tried to insult or threaten Al Capone. It is this quality that earned him the nickname Capone's Enforcer and the position of Capone's most trusted hitman. For Mcgurn, loyalty didn't end with his boss. He was also very loyal to the people that were close to him. According to some reports, he once killed a person who threatened a friend of his. He was also a team player and would always do anything to help and protect his gang and its members. Mcgurn played an essential role to Capone's powerful reputation. He served as an enforcer and a kind of disciplinarian who made sure everyone in the gang knew their ranks and acted accordingly. He had strong connections to powerful and influential people and politicians in Chicago. These connections ensured that he always had strings to pull, and this in turn enabled him to get away with criminal activities like strong-arming victims and large-scale gambling. Despite being a strong man with a penchant for violence, Mcgurn wasn't just good for violence. He was, in fact, an intelligent man who could think up new ideas on his feet. He had an ideal understanding of the politics involved in Chicago gangs. He also developed connections with other gangs, including the North Side Gang, that was a known rival of Al Capone's South Side Gang at the time. With intelligence and connections, Jack was able to create a bridge between the two gangs and prevent a gang war. With his connection to the North Side, Mcgurn could easily and quickly gather men and resources, and this gave him an upper hand against all the other gangs in the area. Mcgurn made sure he was very useful to his boss and gang, so much so that it was easy for Al Capone to trust him and rely on him for many things. Another reason Jack Mcgurn was highly respected was his ability to be unseen. It was a natural gift he had. He could move around, commit murder, and return to his hideout without being noticed or even raising suspicion. He knew how to blend into crowds and disguise himself in such a way that he wouldn't be easily recognized. This particular trait made his career as a hitman a huge success because he could easily evade the police. At times when the authorities were so close to arresting him, he would find a way to slip out of their grasp before they could notice. Jack Mcgurn was a man of resources and an avid golfer. He loved the sport so much that he would invite his gang members to the rinks. Mcgurn would show off his skills and impress everyone. Mcgurn's golfing skills could be classified as legendary. He possessed a powerful swing and could easily drive a ball over 300 yards. According to numerous reports, Mcgurn was so good that Al Capone was impressed by his ability on the course and would play a few rounds with him every now and then. Although Mcgurn loved the sport and loved to showcase his prowess, that wasn't all he used it for. He used it for other purposes. It was a way for him to earn the respect of his peers, maintain a presence within the Chicago mob and network. Mcgurn used his time on the course to interact with new people, make connections, and build relationships with other influential people in the Chicago underworld. He also took his time to learn about new business ideas and opportunities. Mcgurn made sure he was relevant to Capone and his gang by telling them about the business opportunities he heard of. This seemingly unquenchable desire for influence and relevance helped Mcgurn get into Capone's good book. Unfortunately, Mcgurn had to quit golfing after the St. Valentine's Day massacre in 1929. He knew he would be endangering his life to be seen out in public, so he stopped the sport. But that doesn't change the fact that whenever his name is being mentioned, his love for golf and prowess never go unmentioned. It is believed that Al Capone and Mcgurn planned the St. Valentine's Day massacre together, and they did this because they wanted to take down the Bugs Moran gang and take over the illegal businesses of the North Side gang. But that wasn't all. The attack was also planned as revenge for the death of Albert Anselmi, one of Capone's close friends. On February 14, 1929, the authorities found the bodies of 4 men in a garage on Chicago's North Side. The men were members of the Bugs Moran gang. The bodies had been lined up against a wall and riddled with bullets. After carrying out further investigation, the authorities announced that the killers used 2 Thompson submachine guns to carry out the murders. Because it took place on the 14th of February, the massacre was tagged the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. News of the massacre spread all over and soon became an international news story. The massacre stood out as a symbol of Al Capone's control over the North Side gang and Chicago in general. At the time, the authorities were on to Jack Mcgurn and began to name him as a suspect for every act of violence, even when they had no evidence. The police investigated the murders, but they still couldn't get any evidence that could incriminate Mcgurn, so he was never charged for the case. Regardless, the authorities made it clear that they considered him the mastermind of the attack. The massacre is still one of America's most famous unsolved mysteries. Being a hardened and ruthless criminal was Mcgurn's MO, but he made sure his life wasn't only about bloody murders. He had his fun, was a ladies' man, and a good dancer, but above all, he was a loyal man till he died. If you liked this one, make sure to watch these next.